Everyone made the same decision at exactly the same time? Well, the short-term answer to that question is that things would get really messy really fast. Before we continue, we should first define who we mean by everyone in this situation. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that we're talking about this would be considered a general strike, which have actually occurred before. One relatively recent example of such an event took place in France in May 1968 and totaled over 11 million participants. The results were swift and dramatic, bringing the French economy to a halt and crippling government functions. President Charles de Gaulle briefly fled the country. A general strike of an even larger workforce could only be worse. There could be many reasons for such a massive exodus of labor, but for this hypothetical, let's assume that the level of unrest and unhappiness was so great that the desire to oppose those in power overwhelmed the fear of the hunger, uncertainty, and poverty of joblessness. Perhaps people are just sick and tired of economic disparities or discrimination in various forms, whether according to class, race, sex, or sexual orientation. A shared experience of resentment unites those unhappy with their so-called lot in life, and at the same moment, everyone stands up at their posts and just walks out. The word revolution would probably be thrown around relatively quickly here, but it's important to note the more immediate reactions that businesses would have to such a major event. For starters, management would have to take on general employee roles. This could entail learning completely new skill sets and, at best, only return companies to limited functionality. A strike would affect people with savings and assets much less than it did those without. People at the bottom, without a financial safety net, would feel the brunt of such a drastic global shift and either crack and return to work or starve. Even in the aftermath of the event, with people starting to return to work, certain industries would be affected much more than others, as people tighten their belts as never before. The essentials, such as water, food, shelter, and clothing, would take even more precedence over comparatively frivolous industries such as hospitality and entertainment. As a result, those left in this sector would likely fall hard, while areas such as agriculture and farming would endure. After all, we all need to eat. It wouldn't take long before reduced spending habits had a severe effect on the economy.